Hey guys, Grant Davis, GGI Insurance Agency. Got to take the glasses off because of that glare. Look at that, that's pretty bad, huh? Like I said, I'm not a video guy, I'm an insurance guy. So I'm gonna have to put my glasses on in a second because I'm gonna share with you indemnity and hold harmless agreements. And let's talk about the purpose of an indemnity and a hold harmless agreement. So you have a contract to do all this work, and you guys do a great job. Here's what I need done, here's how much it's going to cost, here's all the specs and everything, and you slide in some very weak version. By the way, I can't tell you, cities, municipalities, large contractors, small ones, name me as an additional insured. All right, what does that even mean? You know, there's form numbers. If you don't get the right form number, it's ridiculous to even ask to be named as an additional insured because it's not going to work. It's not going to work unless you have the proper indemnity. So bad analogy, I know, sorry, but I got to use a gun. I grew up, my dad was a cop all those years, so I grew up around guns, and so it's not a big deal to me, but for you, if it is, I am sorry if it offends you, but I could use a gun as an analogy, because we all understand a gun has a barrel, it has a hammer, and it has a trigger, okay? So what is the trigger in a construction contract that will trigger insurance to jump in and help? What's the trigger? Indemnity and hold harmless agreement done properly, which properly means it includes the insurance requirements in the indemnity and hold. By the way, 2 pages, page and a half actually, for an indemnity and hold harmless agreement properly done that includes the insurance requirements and, by the way, the additional insured form numbers. And for most anything construction, by the way, when I'm in my home office, that's that ding from my grandmother's clock. So, but anyway, I'm still sheltering at home, right? Anyway, so this is my home office gig right here behind me. I spend most of my time on the computer reading things. But anyway, so what triggered this? This is the part that's missing. Okay, so most additional insured, all additional insured agreements, when you read them, say as required by written contract. So if you're not requiring the form number, you're already in trouble. But you did say required additional insured, so now you got some pieces of paper that mean nothing. Okay, and for me, as someone that understands additional insureds and the different form numbers, when someone asks to be named as an additional insured and doesn't require the form number, it just tells me that they took some training somewhere lightly on additional insureds and simply know that they need to ask to be named as an additional insured, but they don't understand how that's the trigger to the contract, right? Okay. Here's the other thing too. I insure developers, owners of projects, the general contractors, but it's like a pyramid, right? I have those guys, but mostly I insure subcontractors. Okay, I insure a bunch of subcontractors because they're on the jobs that I'm involved in, and usually they got questions that their broker can't answer. So I'm always available to answer questions, and next thing you know, they're my clients because I just get it. I mean, I understand some of the stuff. And by the way, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna pick on insurance brokers. Do you know it takes 2 weeks to become an insurance broker? 2 weeks. I'm just saying. You know how long it takes to cut my hair? If you wanna cut my hair, it takes you a year of training to learn how to cut my hair. It takes you 2 weeks to be able to sell you a general liability policy for your construction project. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh a little bit because it's just funny to me. And I'm gonna tell you, I know brokers been in business. I've been in it over 40 years. I know brokers that have been in business just as long that have never read these 2 pages. And if they have, they sure don't understand them. And let alone everything else that I have to read when I get a project. Some of this stuff's that thick. You know, hundreds, thousands of pages at times I have to read. So anyway, this becomes part of the contract. This is the triggering mechanism. It is the most important part of the contract if you ever expect insurance to pay a penny. Okay, you see projects wrapped up in cellophane sometimes. There was one, the hospital was building like 8 stories down the road, about 100 miles from here. Drove by that thing and I was like, wait, why is that thing covered in plastic? Well, I found out that they had some construction defect problems while they were building it, and it was taking years to solve. Why does it take years to solve? Have you ever wondered why it takes so long to solve some of this stuff? Because the contract's unclear. Here's the deal. You're not in good hands. You're in contract. The insurance companies write really good contracts. By the way, they're very clear. I understand them very well. I even support attorneys in litigation and say, nope, this is what it means and why it means it. And I've had them say to me, well, we'll have to check that out. And they check it out and say, oh yeah, you're right. And I say, yeah, I know I'm right. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not an attorney though. So you need your attorney. And by the way, I'm happy to help your attorney. They just give me a call. That's it. I don't charge anything. I used to, when I was younger, I used to charge to help attorneys, and they just don't pay very much, so I don't charge anymore. So but I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help anyone that wants to get this stuff right. So this is an actual one. So remember, and by the way, this is not for a construction client, but it's the same exact form, because if you got $500 million building and someone's going to come and touch it, they better be insured properly with the proper insurance, additional insured, hold harmless, indemnity agreements, and the proper additional insured forms. Okay, so this is my first point. Counties, cities, municipalities, name me as an additional insured and you don't require the form number. That just, again, like I say, it just lets me know that someone took a class somewhere and didn't quite get down into it where it got into their core where they really understood it. But so there's 2 types of indemnity agreements though. There's type 1, which says, hey, you're responsible for everything. You sign this, I don't care if I do it, you do it, you're responsible. Type 2 is we're responsible each other for whatever we do to the degree we do it. I'm in California, so I'll pick on California. We used to have both types. And then type 1 agreements went away in residential construction first, and then eventually in commercial construction. So in California, it's only type 2. And that's all it ever should be anyway, but someone needs to read this because it's part of the deal. So if you're a subcontractor and you sign an agreement and you send to your insurance company, your insurance broker, and you say, hey, I need a certificate of insurance with an additional insured, and they don't ask for a copy of the agreement, you're in trouble. Why are you in trouble? Well, here's the deal. The contract is that thick. You sign it. You're responsible for every part of it, including contractual transfers. So if someone just gets you paid, you're happy. Oh, I got paid. Great. You threw one across the plate is what I call it. Okay, and someone didn't catch it, didn't catch that you didn't do it right. Does that relieve you of your obligation? Absolutely not. You're responsible. And if your insurance, by the way, does not respond the way it's supposed to with the proper additional insured number, and there's 2 of them that I recommend always. You have to have 2, not just even 1. Oh, not just the CG 2010. By the way, 2010, what year? There's versions of the 2010. There's like 4 of them, actually 5 of them. I can't even remember. I got a book on it. I have to read the book, right? There's so many versions. Okay, and then you also have the other one. You got to have it in there too. Okay, so if you're supposed to have those in there, and your insurance broker is just trying to get you paid and doesn't understand why they're even in there, and they say, hey, here's an additional insured form, pay my client, and my client gets paid, everyone is happy. 6 years from now, something goes wrong. The insurance, your client's insurance, or your insurance as the subcontractor, does not respond the way it should have had the forms been done right. Guess what? This indemnity and hold harmless section in here, gotcha. They just got you. You personally, and your company, and you personally. By the way, you say, oh, well, I'm a corporation. Okay. I'm an LLC. Great. Okay. Are you the sole member? What's an alter ego? Have you ever heard of an alter ego? Well, an alter ego is what pierces the corporate veil and the LLC veil if you treat your LLC or your corporation as just another part of you. Most subcontractors, smaller subcontractors, but most, even some good sized ones I know, it's an alter ego. It's not providing any protection. You got no protection because you're a corporation or an LLC. You think you do. And I'm glad you think that, but it's just not the way it's going to hit the pavement, because you signed a contract that had very specific language in it. Okay. And by the way, for you developers and your general contractors, should you have to know all of this? No, you got a broker, an insurance broker. Okay. So you get your certificates, you start to collect them. Guess what? Send them to your broker. That's what I tell my clients to do. Let me look at them. Because guess what? It sounds like a lot of work, right? Because you're going to send me 50 pages. And really the work is going to be for me just to get to the page that says, here, gives me the form numbers. I look at the form numbers, I glance up at, yep, that's the form, there's the form numbers. I'm in and out of that in 30 seconds. This is what I do. I mean, that's why my screens are so big. Well, that and I'm almost 60. So my screens are that big so I can see with my glasses. But that's what I do. I read most of the day, I read. By the way, that's what's up right now. This is an insurance agreement right here. This is what's up on this screen. You can't see it very well, but that's what's up. I'm just telling you. So that's what has to happen. So let's get into the body of this, and forgive the glare. I'm gonna kind of look away from the light so it doesn't glare so much. So prior to commencement of any work at, and this is my client, so I'm not gonna say it, so you would insert you. Any and all contractors and service providers must include the following in their contract or agreements and add this to them. So this is designed for unit owners or somebody else to say, hey, look, here's what's happening, okay? It is required by written contract that all contractors or subcontractors or service providers of any tier and until completion and final acceptance of the work, plus the state of, and I'll say California, the state of California's period of repose, as stated in California code number, and I give it all in there, for their work. The contractor, subcontractor, or service provider shall, at their sole expense, maintain the following insurance on behalf and furnish to the owner of any, and then this is for an HOA, any unit and directly to, and then my client's name, certificates of insurance evidencing same, reflecting the effective date shown above. The term contractor as used in this insurance rider shall mean and include subcontractors of every tier as well as service providers. So this is a really broad one, right? We're catching everybody, and why wouldn't you want to? Why do you want anybody stepping foot on your project that doesn't provide you with proper insurance, additional insured forms? Why would you do it? Because here's the deal. They're usually your friends, right? And your friends. You guys go out to dinner, your families enjoy each other's company, and all of a sudden something goes wrong, and now you're suing each other. And it's a year because you didn't get this clearly stated. And so what that year is, going back and forth to court, trying to figure out what the heck it means. Ask your attorney. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to define, oh, this means this. Oh, wait, they bring in an expert, says it means one thing. Another expert says it means something else. And guess what? The insurance contract is seldom questioned because it's written right. It's this stuff that's not. So get your attorney to do it. We'll give you a copy of this, but it's sample, template. I tell them, don't use my stuff. This is an example to show your attorney. And I'm happy to talk to your attorney about why I have this or that. And why. And by the way, you've seen indemnity and hold harmless agreements. And then later on, you see the insurance requirements. And later on, the additional insured requirements. That's nice. Good. Better than not having them, I guess. I'm saying I guess. But the proper way to do it is you put it all together. The indemnity, hold harmless, insurance, and additional insured are all one piece. It's all one piece. It all fits together. There's a reason for that. Ask your attorney why that would be, and then think about it. Better yet, ask your broker why that would be first. And then when he can't answer it, or she can't answer it, then you ask your attorney, and then you realize maybe you want to do business with us because we know this stuff. Sorry, my little commercial in there. I know I said it was just training, but I got to throw a commercial in there every once in a while. So anyway, and then we go down. We start with workers' comp, and we name it all, okay, including a waiver of subrogation in favor of, and it's going to be you, if you're the general contractor. And why is there a waiver of subrogation? It's because you're saying, hey, look, in the indemnity part, you're responsible for safety of your people. So if someone gets hurt on the job site, it's never our fault. So you're not going to subrogate. Subrogate means you go after, the insurance company pays the bill and then goes after the person that's responsible for it. We're going to waive that. We're going to come down here, we're going to name the commercial general liability with bodily, liability limits of $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate, garbage low limit. Garbage low limit. Might as well not even have insurance. What's $1 million today? Think of someone $30,000 a year, 35 years old. In California, it's the right to not work state. So any injury at all, pretty much, they're permanently disabled. You owe them their income until they're 65 years old. So you get to discount that by current interest rate, which is what, 0.5 point today. This is 2020, and I'm sorry, 2020. And so, it's like 0.5 point, if that, you can get on a guaranteed fund. So that's all it's discounted by, but it's also got to be inflated. Inflation is worse. Inflation is about 5%. So you're looking at about $1.5 million loss of income just for one person being injured. And that's just income. That doesn't count pain, suffering. So it's about a $3 million loss, just so you know. So, whoa, there you go. That just shows you that I am not a technical person. I am an insurance person. So I just kicked my tripod. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway. And then we go on, broad form, contractual, completed operations, broad form property, personal advertising, independent contractors, endorsements furnished, reflecting the inclusion of the interest of the owner, construction manager, general contractor, and then here we name my client, their officers, directors, partners, representatives, agents, employees, and naming each as an additional insured using the CG 2010 and then the form number with the CG and then the next one and the form number. There's 2 of them in here, right? And the reason for that is it takes 2. It just does. The way they've written these additional insured forms now, you've got to have 2, and you got to have very specific 2. And by the way, they have version dates at the end of them. So let's pick on the CG 2010, the most common. And you heard of CG 2010 1185 or equivalent. Number one, there is no equivalent form. There's not a equivalent form. It takes 2 forms to be equivalent to the 1185, and it's not quite equivalent. It's like 90% there. Okay? And I can tell you why. That's a different discussion. That'll take me a half an hour just to explain what that is, but I'm just telling you that if you're asking for, I want to be named as an additional insured, and you don't give the form numbers, it's not going to work the way you expect it to work. It's just not going to happen, okay? And cities, municipalities, and even large companies, I keep saying it, I get these things and it says, name me as an additional insured without a form number. And or I had a property management company the other day, cracked me up, calls on the phone and says, hey, we need to be named as an additional insured. I said, okay, where's the contract? Oh, we're not going to put that in the contract. We're not going to write it. I said, well, here's your problem. All additional insured forms start with as required by written contract. And I said, and what form number do you want? Well, they're just leasing this place and we need to be named as an additional insured. I said, okay, I'll do it, but I'm going to have you sign a waiver because you didn't give me a contract, and I'll have my client sign one too. So we go ahead and do it. We're not hard people. We'll do it, but it's like it's wrong, and we'll explain why it's wrong, but they didn't care. Property manager didn't care at all in this case. It was about a month ago. Just didn't care. Just wanted to just had to get an additional insured, and had no idea what he was even asking for, by the way. So I just throw that out there to you. So anyway, and then we come down and we start to go down primary, non-contributory. On and on it goes. There's a lot of stuff in it. Then we go commercial auto, umbrella. You got to have an umbrella or excess, and it's got to. This one says 5 million minimum. 5's even a little low for a lot of stuff nowadays. 5's a little low. 10's a little bit better. 20, 30. I've got some $100, $200 million excess policies on these things. That's a lot of money, I know, but if you're building a $300 million project. Yeah, you might need a little bit more than $1 million is what I'm saying. Something goes wrong, right? Commercial auto even has to be included in here. Oh, and by the way, I'm going back to workers' comp. we do not allow independent contractors. So I don't need to have workers' comp. I'm my only employee. I do all my work myself. Okay, good. So you heard of the drowning victim syndrome? You know, they pull you down. Okay, so if I'm a tile setter and I do all the work myself, I've got no employees, I don't have to have workers' compensation. I get injured on your job site. I'm really hurt. Where's my sole source of money? I got no workers' comp. I got to sue you. I'm sorry. I just have to sue you. Now, the good news is if you use this kind of an indemnity clause, like we have right here, indemnity and hold harmless clause, we'll flip that back to them and say, BS, you're not suing us. Here's why, and you're responsible. And there it is. And by the way, think of employees. So now you got a guy, got a crew out there. I got one crew on one of my job sites one time. There's like 500 people. A lot of people. People get injured. Okay, hey, I got injured on your property. The employee is not obligated by these contracts. They didn't sign them. They're employees. They got workers' comp, but they're on your property. First party liability claim. And by the way, $1 million, is that what you have? Why they're doing construction work? I hope not. Because let me tell you, any employee that gets injured and can't work, again, you're looking at least $3 million, if not more, and that's for the low paid employees. Get someone that's higher paid and or really hurt, you can go $5, $6, $7 million in a heartbeat, okay? So anyway, owner's contractor's protective is something we'll talk about, which is what you gotta have when you have people working. But that being said, if you have the right indemnity and hold harmless agreements with the right waivers of subrogation and all this is done properly and the right additional insured forms, all of that, it's called action over or third party action over when an employee of one of your subcontractors brings a first party suit against you, the owner of the building or the property or the project, right? You've got a first party suit. You can flip it right back to the owner of the business, the subcontractor, because that employee now can sue you, but it flips by contract, it flips back. Because why that employee can sue you, and there's no you can't contract out of that one because that's an employee, but the employee's employer signed this, and if you do this the right way, it flips right back to them, right? So the idea behind all of this is we want to get back to this indemnity and hold harmless agreement, which, by the way, a good one is only, like you see them in your contracts, right? Couple paragraphs. That's all it is. So I'm just telling you in a page and a half, you can do this right. You can do this right. We're going to provide a sample template of this. It won't have all the detail in it. But it will have contact information. It'll give you the sample template. You need to go over it with your attorney. I'm not an attorney. I don't claim to be an attorney. I do claim to be an expert witness, which sounds better than it is. That means I was paid once or twice to give my opinion. That's all it means. But that being said, I qualifies you as an expert witness, right? What really qualifies me as an expert witness is I know more about this than anyone you've ever talked to, including most attorneys. Most risk managers, most anyone else, and my little commercial. If you're not getting this kind of help, and by the way, this is just one. Watch this whole series. This is just one little piece. If you're not, this one little piece right here is probably the most important part of a construction contract, and I get it. My staff gets it. We got a whole team of people at GDI that get it. You don't even need me. You just call GDI and someone will help you with this stuff. We'll help you get this right if you're our client. So you ask yourself, who's your insurance broker, I guess. And by the way, insurance cost reduction starts with this. I can get you premium credits if all this is done right. If I can show, by the way, I have a cement contractor. I got a copy of their subcontract agreement. Made some changes to it, submitted it to the insurance company. Guess what? For the general liability, guess what? 10% credit, just for me editing a couple of things. Premium went down, insurance cost reduction. If that's important to you, insurance cost reduction, you might want to do business with somebody that gets all this stuff, because this is how you do it. You reduce risk. is how you reduce the cost of your insurance by reducing risk. In construction, a lot of that is contractual. Hey, thanks a lot. Like I say, I'm not a tech guy, so I'm gonna have to press a button. Thank you so much, guys.